Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of Ron Swanson's List of Sweatiness. As usual, I am your friendly neighborhood soda, and once again, I am joined by Ben Macklin. How are you doing?
Good. That song always makes me think of Spaceballs.
So that song I've played, I couldn't tell you how many times in community band. That's Sousa, John Philip Sousa. I can't remember the name of the march right now, but yeah, I think I've played it like almost every year I've been back in band.
It's probably one of the most famous, I don't
Oh,
want to
for
say
sure.
iconic, but most used songs and stuff.
Yeah, and I'd say it's easily Phil Sousa's most iconic song, for sure. His most well-known, anyways.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Liberty Bell. That's no. No, that's stuff. Monty Python's the Liberty Bell. Anywho, but anyways, yeah. So we are here recapping Parks and Recreation season 6. Now, what I like about this season, the way it's structured, it could act as a final season, and the way it ends is a perfect ending to a series. But then in the final episode, they had the little tag that says, "No, we got one more season for you." Because just think, they could have ended it at the Unity concert, and
yeah, exactly. I had that same thought. It's a lot like season 7 of Castle, if you remember.
Yes, I do.
And then at the award ceremony for Castle, and in my mind, that was the perfect way to end that show. Everyone going off doing their own thing.
Agreed.
But
we're going to get into it next season, but you know what? I personally think season 7 might be my favorite season.
I think this is my favorite season.
This is a good one too. But rewatching, I just finished season 7 the other day and rewatching it, it's like, yeah, I think that might be my favorite. But we're not here to talk about season 7. We're here to talk about season 6, as I've already mentioned in my rambles. So in this season, we had the departure of 2 regular cast members. Rob Lowe and oh god, I just blanked on her name.
Rashida Jones.
Yeah, Rashida Jones. Yes, sorry. Rob Lowe and Rashida Jones. They left halfway through this season. Reason for Rashida Jones stepping back is because she went to work on Toy Story 4, which unfortunately she ended up leaving due to creative differences, but that is the reason why she left partway through this season.
No, I had no idea.
Yeah, no, I came across that while just reading up some stuff and what have you. So yeah, that's why she left, and she does make one more appearance in this season, and then spoilers, she does come back at some capacity later on next season. But no, this was a great season. I would arguably put this up there as well. It's just some reason season 7 resonated with me more. But let's just hop right on it. Ben, what is your number 5?
It might get punted London.
That's also my number 5.
Okay, you're taking away, my man.
Okay, so this is a 2-parter. It is the season opener. Now, the reason why this was done is because at the time, Chris Pratt was filming Guardians of the Galaxy in London. So in order to accommodate his schedule and still allow him to be on the show, they came up with this plot line, or to explain why he wouldn't be on the show. They came up with this plot line where they travel to London and Andy gets offered a job to work for Peter Serafinowicz, who many of you remember was the Tick and was also in Guardians of the Galaxy as one of the Nova Corps. And, which I think I surprised Ben with last week, is the voice of the original voice of Darth Maul in Phantom Menace.
Yeah, makes sense. I just always assumed that. Now, whenever I think of voice of Darth Maul, I think of Sam Witwer.
Oh, yeah, of course. At this point, he's dated his own.
I think even in Solo, that was Sam, right?
Yes, that was Sam Witwer, and Serafinowicz had said on Collider Live that he had recorded the dialogue, but then out of nowhere, to keep it with continuity in the shows, they got Sam Witwer to record the lines.
Okay, that's off here. There's a question I want to ask you. Remind me off camera.
Okay. Wow, I decided to go on the Parks and Rec wiki to help me with the plots, but long. So this episode picks up immediately after where the season finale of season 5 left off. Picking up where Are You Better Off left off. Diane Lewis informs Ron Swanson that she is pregnant. Feeling overwhelmed with joy and love, Ron proposes to Diane, and the two head to the 4th floor City Hall to get married immediately. They pick up Leslie and April on the way there, and with them as witnesses and an ordained minister ready to go, Ron and Diane get married. A month later, Leslie is still being attacked by the Recall Note campaign, and she has come up with 40 phases to get the public to like her again, but so far none are creating awareness of making a difference. To lighten the mood, April makes a surprise announcement. She recently nominated Leslie for an award from the International Coalition of Women in Government, and Leslie was one of the 5 winners. She also announces that the ceremony is being held in London in a month's time. So fast forward another month. Ben, Ron, April, and Andy are in London. Ron explains that he's only there because Diane wanted it to be their honeymoon, but due to morning sickness and the fact that Lucy Lawless doesn't appear in the show ever again, she stayed home and insisted Ron still travel to London. Everyone has their assignments. Leslie and April will prepare for the award ceremony. Ben and Andy will attend their meeting for the Sweatiness Foundation, and Ron will take pictures of London for Diane. Ben and Andy visit the head of an English charity foundation to expand their after-school music program that they started in Pawnee. In there, they meet Lord Edgar Covington, played by Peter Serafinowicz, a wealthy man from a distinguished family with lots of money and property. Ben attempts to discuss terms with Lord Covington, but it quickly becomes clear he is easily distracted and is interested in childish, trivial things, much like Andy. Andy and Lord Covington get along very well. They both have similar work ethic and mannerisms. When Ben finally gets the chance to put forward his proposal, Covington admits he has no idea what he's doing. He started the charity to do something good with his family's money, but he has learned hundreds of charity pitches and isn't sure who to choose. The only convincing Covington needs to choose Ben's proposal is Andy telling him blankly, ours is great. Because Covington likes Andy so much, he requests he stay with him in London for 3 months to get things up and running. With encouragement from April, Andy agrees to stay and help out Covington, even though clearly neither of them have any idea where to start. And like I said, this was done so Chris Pratt could still film the movie, and we know where Andy is.
Well, yeah, but you forgot one of the funniest jokes in the show.
Go ahead.
Ben asked, because of the weight loss, Ben asked,
Oh, yes.
Andy, dude, how did you lose all that weight? And he says, I just stopped drinking beer.
Yeah, I stopped drinking beer for a month. Who knew?
Yeah.
Okay, meanwhile, Leslie discovers that back in Pawnee, her personal London pictures are being used against her, as those from the Recall Note campaign are insinuating she'd rather be in Europe than work through her problems in Pawnee. She initially wants to go back to Pawnee as soon as possible, but Ron convinces her to forget it and accept her award as planned. The award ceremony, she meets the other winners and is distressed to find that they are all loved by their hometowns, whereas Leslie's hometown has a strong hatred for her. This depressing revelation comes out in her acceptance speech, which, as she accuses Pawnee, and rightfully so, as she accuses Pawnee's citizens of being ungrateful and overly mean to her for no good reason. This backfires on Leslie, Natch, as her speech is live streamed in a number of places around Pawnee. She's later comforted by Ron, and she hands him a belated wedding gift. Which that's my honestly, the wedding gift. His wedding gift is my favorite part of the show episode. Upon arriving in Pawnee, Leslie continues her thankless work at serving the citizens of Pawnee. Realizing Leslie could use a pick-me-up, April reads Leslie her application letter she sent to the International Coalition of Women in Government. The letter notes how special Leslie is, as her tireless work usually always gets unnoticed in a city full of apathetic people, and delves into how much she truly cares for her friends. Ron's hatred for Europe is great, but he is pleasantly surprised with Leslie's gift. A trip to an island off the coast of Scotland that hosts the Lagavulin distillery, his favorite alcoholic beverage. Now, I was reading up some trivia on the show. You could actually get to the place how Ron did, but it's actually much shorter, just to take a flight, take a ferry, and you're there. But
I know, but so no, we have no drama in that.
There's no. You're right. There's no drama, but also that's not Ron Swanson. The way he got there is very how Ron would do it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Peeved at Tommy's closet being established across the road from Rent a Swag, Tom asks Donna to help him find out information on the unknown owner. Finding only an address, Tom drives there to find Anne and Chris entering the building. Tom races in after them and finds the pair in a room in the middle of a sonogram. Tom realizes two things. Anne is pregnant, and the person trying to ruin his business is their doctor, Dr. Saperstein, John Ralphio's father. Dr. Saperstein tells Tom he's only doing it to get back at him for ruining his children's lives. Later, Tom implores John Ralphio and Mona Lisa to confess their lies to their father in an attempt to get Dr. Saperstein to get back down from his revenge plot. The plan does not work as Dr. Saperstein is invested in his new business because it's actually making him money. This only inspires Tom to continue going in order to beat his competition. So that's the end. That's everything that happened in that episode, and that was long. But yeah, this was a fun episode. And just seeing Ron travel around London, especially when he went to buy the postcards, was hilarious.
Don't even got to say who plays the doctor.
Oh, yes. So Dr. Saperstein is played none other than the Fonz, man. Henry Winkler, who's perfect. Perfect. He looks like he could be their father.
Oh my, he just angry so well.
Oh, God, yeah.
A great character, and then when the three of them are together, Sean, Henry, and God, what's her name?
Jean Ralphio, Mona Lisa, and
Mona
Dr.
Lisa, thank you.
Yeah, his name is actually all one. It's hyphenated. It is John Ralphio. It's not John Ralphio. It's actually one word.
And it makes it more irritating.
Yeah, and so is hers.
When Henry Winkler, when the three of them are on screen together, that's the only time I can compare the two kids. Without Henry Winkler, those kids are annoying as fuck.
They are, but I personally think Mona Lisa is the worst. Like, she is more annoying.
Give me money.
It's after a while, like John Ralphio has some amount of charm to him where you could kind of, okay, you can tolerate him, but her? No, she's annoying. Which means she's doing her job good.
Money, please.
Money, please. Oh, shut up. Okay. So, Ben, what is your numero 4?
New beginnings.
On my honorable mentions.
So this is after Leslie loses the Winkle and Matt starts anew by going back to a previous job and overcoming hurdles and realizing, yeah, that's where she's the most happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't like this episode because it kind of rediscovering her passion for what made her happy about herself to begin with.
It does, but it also just shows how much in her time away the rest of them have grown, especially
right.
Tom.
Right. And April. Right?
And for sure, Tom and April. And I like what Ron says to her at the end. It's just like, look, you took 2 apathetic people and you made them into competent government workers. At least I think that was this episode.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
No, this was a good episode because for the reason, like I said, obviously we've seen it, but now we're seeing Leslie realize that maybe the gang doesn't need her like they did before because of everything that she's taught them. So I think upon realizing that now she can trust them to do more stuff and now go on to bigger and better things and what have you.
Yeah.
Oh, and let's not forget, this is this is Ben Wyatt's first day as city manager, and this is the episode where April, Andy, and Donna scared the shit out of him with a prank.
I love that prank. I mean, I forgot what they did, but I remember.
Okay, so I've got it right up here. So so I'll read the paragraph. It is Ben Wyatt's first day as Pawnee city manager, having taken over from Chris. He attempts to demonstrate to April, Andy, and Donna that he is a manager that is approachable and chilled, but also implements a number of new rules to assert his position as a no-nonsense boss. Donna can tell he is tightly wound at the moment, so the trio prank him with a false arrest to lighten him up. Ben does not exactly see the funny side, so he issues a memo to the trio warning them if they do something like that again, he'll have to suspend them. And he convinces Ben he could loosen up a little and suggests instead of punishing them, prank them back. But Ben can't go through with it as it becomes too stressful for him. However, his lame attempt to even try a prank is good enough to earn the trio's affection. That night, Dawn explains to Ben that they didn't prank him because they don't respect him, but rather because they love him.
Yeah, I love it. I just love, I love that trope. You only hurt people you love,
Yeah.
and you can tell how much they really love him.
Oh,
And
for
I
sure.
think
And
that
to be
was
honest,
great.
what's not to love about Ben?
Yeah, agreed. You know what? Here's number 4.
Doppelgangers.
That's my number 3. So why don't you go
Okay.
ahead and talk about it?
So, in Doppelgangers, Eagleton is absorbed back into Pawnee as the two cities return to how it was in 1817. Leslie is charged with sorting the Eagleton government into their new departments. As a result, Pawnee's Parks Department takes on 4 new employees from Eagleton. April Ludgate is matched up with Tinifer. What the fuck kind of name is that? Donna Meagle is with Craig. Tom Haverford's with Eric, and Ron Swanson is with Ron Dunn. To help with filing, Leslie brings back Jerry. He requests everyone call him by his real name, Gary, but April instead starts a new name for him, Larry Gingerch. The overload of employees leads to Leslie having to cut down the staff number. Meanwhile, Chris and Ben are excited to be back working as auditors and demonstrate their amazing teamwork with their infamous good cop, bad cop routine. Chris gets everyone in a good mood in the lead up to Ben swooping in and hacking the situation with a machete. While it's great the two towns are merging to create a bigger, better city, Eagleton's government lost millions of taxpayer dollars, and Chris and Ben have to clean up the obscene mess they have made. Everyone meets their counterparts. Craig is crazy and blows up easily, but absolutely loves his job. April finds Tinifer to be the worst person she has ever met, and ironically, wants to travel the world with her. Ron Swanson takes a liking to Ron Dunn as they both share a love for the outdoors and minimal conversation. Tom discovers that Eric is actually an online facility booking system, or ERIC, Eagleton Reservation Information Center. Tom realizes that this will no doubt replace him, so he makes sure Leslie thinks Eric is a terrible person by describing him as someone with a bad attitude, reliable, and a racist. And introduces her Eagleton equivalent, Evelyn, to Leslie before telling Leslie that she's considering moving away from Pawnee in the near future. The news does not sit well with Leslie, and she inevitably takes her frustration out on everyone else. Soon becomes clear that everyone from Eagleton but Craig is ineffective and or not required to continue on in the Pawnee Parks Department. Ron D ends up getting fired, much to the pleasing of Ron S. April convinces Tinifer to quit. Having realized how selfish she was being in regards to Anne's news, she agrees to sit down with Anne and actually discuss the predicament. Chris and Ben go out to dinner to relive their old state auditing days, and both of them eventually realize that their former life was never really that great, as they remember the times where after a long day of slashing budgets in a random town, they'd end up back in a crummy hotel and eating together in a sleazy bar, much like they are right now. They then remind themselves how much better their lives are now, having met their respective partners in Pawnee. Chris informs Ben that he and Anne may be leaving Pawnee. Although Ben is sad to hear his closest friend might be leaving, he is also incredibly happy for Chris. So basically, this is the episode where you get a major shift of where the direction of the show is going, because this is where Anne and Chris announced that they're leaving. Plus, this is also the introduction of Craig, who appears for the rest of the TV show after this. He's the only one that is a recurring guest. Like, we do see Ron Dunn 2 more times, but Craig is the only one that keeps coming back.
Can I be honest?
Yeah, of course.
If there's one character I find more annoying than Philadelphia and Mona Lisa, it's Craig.
The first time watching it, I didn't know how to take Craig.
Yeah, it is too much. I just can't handle him.
I don't want to get in trouble for how I'm going to phrase this, but to me, what I found annoying about him at first was that he was stereotypical.
Yeah.
I found that incredibly annoying. Because I think you can do a character like that without falling into stereotypes.
I'll tell you something after, but yeah, sure. I'm with you.
Yeah. But other than that, after the first watch through, I did learn to appreciate Craig. especially in the moments which there's stuff that in season 7, which we will talk about with him, that I like where that character went with that, with the anger problem.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Okay,
And
so it's
that
still
was
my
my,
turn.
yeah.
So number 3 is the Cones of Dunshire.
Of course it is.
What do you mean, of course it is? Come on. I'm not that predictable, am I? Don't answer that. Okay. During his time off between jobs, Ben creates a board game called The Cones of Dunshire. He presents the beta to Leslie, who is not a fan and insists he keeps his day job. The next day, Leslie sets out to ensure that her final duty as a city councilman is to guarantee the longevity of her number one project, the Pawnee Commons. Currently, the money set aside for the Pawnee Commons is in a discretionary fund, and Leslie would like to move the money to a lockbox to ensure that it is used for that project. In typical Jeremy Jam fashion, he moves to table any decision on the money until Leslie is officially gone from office. Leslie is determined not to go out on a losing note, so she confronts Jam at his house, informs him she's not leaving until she gets his vote. Jam agrees to have her and Chris Traeger stay the night, with the goal being to begin negotiations the next morning. However, Jam plays hardball all day, and Leslie is forced to change venues to appease to Jam's liking of karaoke. After a successful karaoke session, Jam gives his word and puts it in writing, noting that no one can touch the money for 1 year. This does not bode well for Leslie, as she wants to be able to use the money immediately. Leslie later reveals to Chris that her quest to break ground on Lot 48 and begin construction of the park was an attempt to get Ann Perkins to stay in Pawnee and not move to Michigan. Chris then reveals to Leslie that Ann's current absence for Pawnee was due to her signing a lease on their newer home in Ann Arbor. Chris offers to help Leslie change Jam's mind by offering him IOUs as city manager in exchange for a secure lockbox that Leslie can access immediately. Unbeknownst to Jam, Chris is actually departing Pawnee soon, and Jam is being deceived. With Chris stepping down as city manager, he offers Ben the job. This forces Ben to have quit once again from his accounting job at Barney Varm's accounting firm, but leaves his accounting friends with the Cones of Dunshire, as he knows they will truly appreciate it. Meanwhile, Ron Swanson decides it is time to sell one of his best-loved cabins in the woods and enlists Donna and Tom to assist him as realtors. He's immediately not impressed with Donna and Tom sprucing up his cabin, and he is even more unimpressed with the types of people looking to buy it. After hearing one bidder wishes to buy the property purely for the land, he orders everyone out and announces no bids will be accepted at this time. Back at the park's office, Ron informs Don and Tom he does not care about the money. What he wants is for someone to respect what it meant to him. Quiet refuge from the nonsense of modern life. As neither Tom or Donna can find someone like that, April Ludgate offers to buy it so she and Andy can use it for their simple purposes. She offers Ron everything in her purse. He acknowledges how this is the best offer he's had yet and agrees to release the estate to April's willing hands. And when he gives Donna her commission, it's like 15 cents. So what do you think of this one?
I love it. And I did one of my favorite recurring gags of the show is Ben getting hired at that accounting place,
Yeah.
only to leave immediately after he gets hired, and the willingness to keep taking him over and over and over again.
What I like about this episode and that running gag in particular is that this is the farthest he's ever gone into the company. And it gave us a famous gif of Ben looking back, chewing pizza while winking.
Yeah.
And basically it shows that in his own circle, Ben is king. But everywhere else, he's a fucking nerd. Who I would like to hang out with. That's just great.
Let's be honest, Ben is one of us.
Oh, for sure.
He's unfunny.
Yeah, Ben's he's one of us. And the thing I love most about Ben is he is the audience conduit, because there's a lot of times something happens and he's the one out of all of them that's just like, the fuck? Like little Sebastian, for example.
He's in my opinion, the office equivalent is Jim. He's fucking like Jim Habit, in my opinion.
Yeah, I actually would agree to that.
Yeah. And that one guy who keeps hiring him who is also on Friends.
Yes,
Scares
and I
me.
didn't realize that until
Oh
you
my
pointed it out.
god, he scares me.
They both have the same creepy vibe.
They could be the same character. You know what? In my head canon, they are the same character.
That's scary.
Well, think about it. In that makes it one universe. There's nothing to contradict it.
That's true. That's true. It's just I don't like the idea of Parks and Rec living in the same universe as Friends for some reason. I don't know why. It's just like that. Those two shouldn't mix. Now, The Office, if they actually went through that, would have been interesting. Only reason is because I would have loved to have seen Leslie encounter Dwight.
Yeah.
And
So
Andy
how?
encounter, oh God, what's his name? Kevin.
Wait, who encountered Kevin?
The one who spills the chili.
No, who went fucking wreck?
Oh, I would like to see Andy and Kevin meet.
No, I want to see Gary and Kevin meet.
That's a good one.
I want.
Okay, this is the almost obvious low-hanging fruit one, but it is probably the one that would make for the best. Ron Swanson meeting Michael Scott.
I have one.
Okay.
Tammy, too. Meaning Sam.
Especially Jan when she's in her relationship with Michael. That would be a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. We can hash this out all day. I mean.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to spend too much of your time, folks. Okay, so
My number 2.
yes.
Anne and Chris.
My number 2 as well.
If we have the same number 1, that would be funny.
I have a feeling it is going to be the same number 1. Okay, so it is Anne and Chris's last day in Pawnee. In celebration of her friendship formed 5 years earlier, Leslie secretly arranges for her and Anne to officially break ground on Pawnee Commons at Lot 48 as a going-away present. However, the director of the Public Works Department, Harold, storms into her office and questions how she got an approval to do that, seeing as how he did not sign off on it. In addition to breaking ground, Leslie organizes a going-away party for Anne and Chris. Elsewhere, Chris is packing up the last of his things with help from his friends. While packing, they notice there are several boxes scattered throughout the room with their names on it. Chris reveals they have his gift to them and calls them buddy boxes. Each box contains a memento that symbolizes his friendship with each of them. Ron's memento is a bronzed hamburger because of the cook-off. Ben's is a 2008 Indiana State audit spreadsheet. Andy's is a farewell Little Sebastian Memorial Concert advertising poster. Larry's is a picture of him officiating Leslie and Ben's wedding, and Tom is a vial of snake juice. As they were not prepared for such thoughtful gifts, the group feel bad for only getting Chris a gift card. They set themselves the goal of coming up with something better over the course of the evening. At the party, Leslie explains that because she doesn't know when she will see Anne again, the party's theme is a celebration of everything that will happen in the coming year. Example, Easter, birthdays, and so on, which just proves just how psychotic Leslie is. Throughout the night, Anne gets around to all her comrades to say a personal thank you and goodbye. As the party ticks on, Leslie finds out that Public Works has placed a padlock on the fence surrounding Lot 48, halting her plans for a midnight groundbreaking. Having run out of ideas to how to solve this problem, she reluctantly informs Anne of her surprise plan and apologizes for not being able to get it done. Anne insists they do what needs to be done that night in order to accomplish this groundbreaking. They first head over to Harold's house, where they ask for the key to the locked fence. He says they can have the key if they get back the free sodas his department used to get from Catherine Pinewood. Catherine reveals, after being put in a headlock by Anne, that if they can get Sweetums, a local spokesman, to endorse their new sports drink, they will give them whatever they want. They enlist Perd Hapley to be the endorser, which gives them the sodas they need to give to Harold and the key from Harold to open the padlock. Leslie and Anne sit alone together in the empty lot and reminisce over their friendship and what's to come. The pair then each shovel out the first lot of dirt, signifying a promise kept by Leslie that she made to Anne 5 years earlier. Meanwhile, Ben thinks of the perfect gift they can give to Chris. As Chris is starting a new life with a new family, they give him an empty, save for their initials, buddy box, handcrafted by Ron to fill with memories for his child. In the morning, Ann and Chris say their final goodbyes to their friends and they depart Pawnee for their new life in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Trivia question for you. What song, or should I say, which artist is playing the song that ends the episode? And a bonus point if you can name the song.
I don't know, but I have a trivia question for you.
Okay, shoot.
What movie franchise takes place in Ann Arbor, Michigan?
Oh, it's American Pie.
Yeah.
And the answer to my trivia question for you is the song Wildflowers by Tom Petty.
I would have never known that.
No, you probably want to know the title, but you had. I'm surprised you didn't recognize Tom Petty.
Maybe I can't remember.
Yeah, it's. I will say it's not. It came out during his solo year, so it's not like one of his more famous songs, but it's still a good song. Yeah, this is one that gets me every time because it's the end of an era. It's the end of a friendship that's been there since the first episode, and to see it end, I think is a great way to have it end, to wrap everything up.
Agreed. And yeah, agreed.
Yeah, it's a beautiful episode. And I love how Andy comes up and says, "Hey, Andy, I just remembered we used to date." Oh yeah, and of course April finally tells Anne she loves her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's me. That's me every time.
Okay, so let's do the honorable mentions.
And I'll go first, and I just remembered we don't have the same number one. Because my number one, well, one of my honorable mentions for me, your number one, I can tell you.
Shoot.
Let me go first. Anniversaries.
Okay.
The Wall. From. Moving on up.
You bastard. Okay, so my honorable mentions are the Pawnee Eagleton Tip-Off Classic, Filibuster, Recall Vote, New Beginnings, and Second Chance. All right, let's hear what your number one is.
Second Chance. Nice.
That was one that I almost actually made the top 5.
Yeah, come on, in that ending gets me every time. The episode is about Leslie's in the day of the recall, she loses, and she has to accept that she lost.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone gathers around for her, and it's really well done. But the ending of this episode is why it's my number one. Leslie gives one a plaque with his name and the word government on it. And before he has a chance to give it to him, he snags it up, runs out of the office, sews it up, brings it up.
Goes to his shop, uses a bandsaw.
Renames it into cement, buries it, but then the first time I realized where he buries it.
Okay. He didn't do cement. He burned it in a fire, and then he buried the ashes.
Okay. The one, he buries it in Illinois. Not even in Indiana, in Illinois.
On the border.
It didn't make me laugh. And he just lit. Oh, I forgot what this is in Court Open Res, where he realizes the computer is always watching him.
Yeah.
So he tosses it out. One of these is my favorite one Swanson moment.
This is my favorite end tag because it perfectly encapsulates everything that Ron Swanson is. My favorite opening tag, however, is the time he played a joke on everybody and he pulled out the tooth. And you look, and Tom's just passed right out on the floor. He's like, I got it pulled out yesterday. It's just nice every once in a while to show them who has the authority. It's like, yeah, perfect.
And you know what? That is a classic Michael Scott moment. That's something Michael would have done easily.
Which is why I kind of want to see Ron and Michael meet. That would have been. Can you imagine the stuff they did together?
And Michael got one cook on that George Clement grill. The one where Michael put his foot on.
Because, one would.
Yeah. I can't wait to come to the office on this show.
Me too.
Okay.
Me too.
Drum roll, I know you're number one.
It's moving up.
Yeah.
Okay. This is probably going to be the longest read. Well, maybe. The Unity concert is only 6 days away, and Leslie is in San Francisco, where she's scheduled to speak at the National Parks Conference. At the conference, Leslie bumps into Grant Larson. He invites her to lunch and introduces her to a number of her national parks idols, and later the two bump into Michelle Obama, which is probably one of my favorite Leslie moments. In his best attempt to convince Leslie to take the Midwest Bureau job in Chicago, he mentions her idols could soon become her peers and that he needs a final decision from her in a day's time. Leslie is convinced. She decides to take the job. Later that day, Leslie presents her speech at the conference. She describes to the audience her plans to have Pawnee and Eagleton and their parks department fully integrated within 6 to 12 months. Her timeline is ridiculed by those in attendance, with two department heads suggesting 10 years of constant hands-on management would be a more stable and accurate plan. Elsewhere in San Francisco, Ben and Andy meet with a tech company called Grizzle. The company is giving away free Wi-Fi to a few cities across the U.S., so Ben decides to pitch Pawnee to them. The owners reject Ben's pitch as they are only going after big cities, but Ben does not take no for an answer. After seeing the Grizzle owners playing his board game, The Cones of Dunshire, Ben challenges them to a duel, where if he wins, they give him another shot at pitching Pawnee. With it being his game, Ben is able to outshine them and proves that he is the game's architect. Ben later explains to Leslie that his game has somehow spread, with it being all over the internet and having a fan base in a number of big cities across the country. He also mentions he intends to look into copywriting the game, and because of the game, he was successful in getting Grizzle to accept Pawnee for their free wireless initiative. Leslie is distracted, however, and flirts with going back on her word to move to Chicago, following the negative reaction to her seamless merger super system. Having only recently come to terms with the idea of actually leaving Pawnee, a 10-year merger timeline makes her reconsider if Pawnee is capable of doing it without her. Ben takes her to Muir Woods National Park and explains why taking the job would create so many opportunities for her. He reminds her that by taking the job, she will be in a position to do what she has always been most passionate about, preserving parks and landmarks. With his words fresh in her mind, Leslie officially declares her intentions to take the job to Grant. Meanwhile, back in Pawnee, Tom is set to open Tom's Bistro in 6 weeks. His top investor, Mitch Savner, laments how great it would have been for the restaurant to be ready for the start of the Unity concert, as it would have given the restaurant a nice boost with the extra publicity. Eager to not disappoint Mitch, Tom jumps the gun and declares that he can get the place ready for a soft opening the following night and be ready at officially opening at the end of the week. Tom recruits April, Craig, Ron, and Donna to work overtime with him to get the restaurant serviceable. Things do not go well. Ron is unable to make 20 chairs in time. Craig is unable to do his job as sommelier due to allergies, and Jerry orders the menus with the wrong background image. And let's just say the image is really not something you want to put on a menu, because it's a picture of his dog's anal glands that are pussy. Ugh. Ugh. The night is a disaster, and it is clear to Mitch that Tom is ill-prepared. He terminates his investment and leaves Tom with no backing. Tom considers quitting, but Ron and April insist he stick with it. April reveals she informed a number of reviewers that the soft opening went well and invited them to the restaurant for the official opening. That way, Tom can give his new venture a real shot. Part 2. It is day 1 of the 3-day Unity concert, which would have been awesome to be able to go to. But first up, Tom recruits John Ralphio and Mona Lisa to help him hand out VIP invitations to A-listers at the Unity concert. At the final Unity concert planning meeting, April and Andy inform everyone of their roles, with the main goal being to get 2,000 signatures in support of the Pawnee-Eagleton merger. At the end of the meeting, Leslie informs her closest colleagues and friends that she has accepted the job in Chicago. They all congratulate her and take her outside City Hall, where they unveil a Pawnee Founders Day Memorial Monument with her name inscribed as one of the founders of Pawnee, which I thought was really, really cool. The Unity concert's in full swing with headline acts such as the Decemberists, Genuine, Letters to Cleo, great band, by the way, Yo La Tengo as the fictional Bobby Knight Ranger, which I love that concept, playing the song Sister Christian by Knight Rider dressed as Bobby Knight, Indiana's infamous bad boy. I think that's hilarious. And Lan Ho with Jeff Tweedy as lead singer Scott Tanner, bringing in huge crowds. Throughout the day, Tom is busy enticing A-listers to come to Tom's Bistro for its opening that night, while Leslie is informed by Grant Larson that she has 2 staff positions to fill and can hire whoever she wants. Leslie is excited by this, as it gives her the opportunity to bring 2 friends with her to Chicago. She tries to woo Ron, April, and Andy, but all 3 are very content with living in Pawnee and have no intentions of moving with her. Elsewhere at the Unity concert, Andy performs a show as Johnny Karate and afterwards bumps into Burley. The 2 reminisce over Mouse Rat's breakup, and it brings back memories for Andy as he misses being a part of the band. April notices this and organizes a reunion for the band as Day One's closing act. Every performing group comes together on stage to conclude the night, with Mouse Rat leading the way with their signature single, 5,000 Candles of the Wind, followed by a 3D hologram of the late great Little Sebastian. As a surprise cameo, Ron joins the cast on stage as Duke Silver and finishes the piece alongside Andy, which I gotta admit, I thought was one of my favorite Ron Swanson moments, because it shows that he is willing, what he's willing to do for his kids, to go against everything he believes in.
Yep.
I really, really like that. And to boot, he went out without his glasses, and Leslie's reaction was Leslie and Ben's reaction was great. Later that night, Tom's A-list recruiting is a success as the opening night of Tom's Bistro proves prosperous. Dr. Saperstein, Tom's #1 rival, initially stops by to gloat, but as the night goes on, comes to see just how successful the venture could be and offers to become an investor. Attending the opening night is Barney Varm, who presents Ben with a copyright protection brief for the Cones of Dunshire. Barney explains that he and his firm saw potential in the game, so they registered it in Ben's name. Ben later announces to everyone that they have achieved their goal of 2,000 signatures, as they got nearly 4,000 on the first night. After leaving Tom's Bistro, Leslie returns to City Hall and finds Ron sitting alone in his newly refurnished 3rd-floor office space. The 2 discuss Leslie's move, and Ron insists that it's her time to move up in the world. Leslie, truly not wanting to leave Pawnee, puts together a plan. If she can't move Pawnee to Chicago, she'll have to move Chicago to Pawnee. Failing in her attempts to get anyone to come with her to Chicago, she's inspired by the available 3rd floor and its potential. Sometime later, Grant meets Leslie on the 3rd floor, and she presents him with her proposal to have the new National Parks office be opened in Pawnee instead of Chicago. A month goes by, and Leslie ends her tenure as deputy director of Pawnee's Parks and Recreation Department. She packs up her things and moves upstairs to the 3rd floor, where her new life begins as the National Park Service's Midwest Regional Director. 3 years later, the 3rd floor is a bustling National Parks regional office for the Midwest Division. Leslie's a big-time government employee and a mom to triplets, and the episode and season ends with Leslie and Ben heading downstairs to an important meeting. And that ends the season. I thought that was a really great twist, because for sure you thought this is the perfect way to end it, and then boom, out of nowhere, fast forward 3 years, and we got a little bit more.
Nice. It's a great season. It's a great finale. I mean,
yeah, agreed.
I really enjoyed it.
My favorite version of 5,000 Candles in the Wind comes from this episode, because obviously I'm a sucker for saxophone. My email has my usernames has the name saxophone in it. Yeah, no, it's a beautifully done episode. It could have, like I said, it could have easily been the series finale, but yeah.
Even Women Talk, it could have been the series finale. Like,
it could have been, yeah.
Like, you technically speaking, you don't need to see what comes after they get on the elevator.
You don't, and I'm personally glad they did.
Right.
Because, like I said, it's a good chance it could be my favorite season, and I like where everybody. I like what they do with everybody and how they bring them back to. Season 7 is a really unique way to end a series, and it hit a home run in my opinion. But season 6, man, season 6 was great.
It's fabulous. It is fabulous.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so next season, final.
One song.
But
Season.
So, what do we have to look forward to, Benjamin? I can't believe I just called you Benjamin.
You know, you haven't season.
No. Oh, well, okay. This is one of them, but yes. Okay. So, in this season, obviously, we get fast forward 3 years. We see where everybody is at. We have a wedding to attend. We have Tom finding love. We have an unexpected feud.
Oh. Yeah.
And a resolution that I think is my favorite episode they've ever done.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that episode that much. Yeah, that's basically what it is. You get to see where everybody is up to, and you the main point of the season is Sweetums decides to sell this massive acreage of land, and the whole arc of the season is Leslie is trying to get them to donate it so she can make it a national park in Pawnee as her signature. That was me.
Let me ask you that. This could have been a series finale, and we have the other real series finale next season. Which do you prefer for a series finale?
The season 7 finale, and it's because of where they leave Ron.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.
And I will get into details. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, Ben, where could everybody find you?
You can find me at Ben_Radio on Twitter. Every Tuesday here on this channel on Still the Breeze with Matt here. Every Friday on this show. Every Saturday on Get Ready at Matt Slowdown. Or Slowdown show where we're going to play careers. Except this summer, we're going into factions. Last week, we went into assessments. This week, we're off. We're taking a break this week. That's right. We're taking a break this week. Yeah. How about you, Matt?
Okay, so you can find me on my personal Instagram and Twitter at soda_the_Saxman. You can find me all pretty much on every goddamn show on this network except Mount Schmodown. Even there, I guessed on. I just realized I'm on every freaking show. So you can find me there, and yeah, basically, and if you want to join Doroka's Patreon, you can find me competing for the IG title in the Patreon Fan League coming up soon. I don't know the date. Last night it was a Get Sweaty Civil War between myself and 50 Shades of Geek, which was a lot of fun. So if you join Doroka's Patreon, that's something you can look forward to. What else do I have? I actually am taking a break myself this weekend because I have a softball tournament, so you will not see me on any of the shows. So there you go. And other than that, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Recap the Past. We will see you next week for the bittersweet finale of Parks and Rec. We will see you then. Don't forget, everyone, stay sweaty.